Everybody all settled? Great, okay. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the Wednesday, August 9th regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. It's 5:01 now. And first item on our agenda is liaison reports, and we'll start with Joe.
You can move on to David.
Okay, thank you so much.
Well,
David?
I'm liaison to the Library Commission, and they had no meeting. But I did go to a meeting of the Human Services Commission. They are very busy. They do an awful lot.
Yes, they do.
So they had the election of officers, and that went fine. They have some planned purchases that Tony knows about. One is for a freezer that is malfunctioning. It's working, but the clock went out, so they can't record the temperatures. And the other is for a dishwasher. The dishwasher fails, so they're using paper plates and disposable tableware. In order, they've shopped and they've got prices, but in order for them to start the installation, they have to get approval for the electrical and the plumbing compatibility. So apparently Brad Parsons has to do that. He's busy with the pool, and that'll be happening in 2 weeks. They are looking to update their software. They want to go to a program called Schedule Plus, which is a massive software program that will take care of all their needs, their scheduling needs, their billing needs, volunteering, data on donors. I mean, it's a very extensive program. Track rides, have an email program. And the price of that is $60 a month, which is not very excessive. $70 a year. So they're planning on doing that, implementing it in January. Youth Services report they had an 8th grade graduation dance at the Racebrook Country Club. They had 96 students from Woodbridge. They had 63 students from Bethany. And they are having an upcoming event, which is a 7th grade picnic. They wanted me to announce Thursday, August 24th, 5:30 to 7:30 on the green. And they will have activities. The Youth Services report indicated that the state grant that we approved the application of which we approved last month for $14,000 has been put in. There is a very extensive lunch program now through Massaro Farms. It's a, what do they call it, farm to table. And there are several dates on that. September 13th, it will be at Brookdale. September 18th, it will be at the farm. And September 19th and 22nd, it will be at the center. They also discussed their transportation program. Their vans run from 8:30 to 4:30, but they supplement that transportation with 2 other vans. One is from the Connecticut Regional Rides program that runs 6 days a week, and it runs late. It runs to 11 o'clock at night. The other one is a 7-day program from Regional Rides, and that's from the State Department, and that's running off of a grant. And that is it for my liaison report.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Harry?
So I have an update from Board of Ed. The Amity Finance Committee met Monday, and they have a motion to the Board of Ed to return to the member towns the audited fund balance. So for Woodbridge, that was $536,939, and it was unanimously approved, and will be going to the full Amity Board of Ed for their approval at the upcoming meeting on Monday, August 14th. No other updates.
Police Commission meeting was canceled.
I did attend the Recreation Department meeting. There were a number of public comments, mostly ranging in or pertaining to commending and complimenting the efforts on the part of the Recreation Department in terms of getting the pool up and running. There are a number of concerns or items that were brought up as relates to safety, everything from safety to diaper policies and things of that nature. as well as improved maintenance and things of that nature that the commission did take note of. They also went over some of their events, just to go over a few of them. The road race takes place on October 7th, and they wanted to make sure that the Woodbridge Fire Department was recognized for getting as many sponsors as they have, and for getting keeping that going in the direction that it is. They did cut back fitness hours to save some money. Tennis is being used. They went over a number of different programs, and their financial reports they'll go over next time. They did recognize Adam Parsons and Brad Parsons for their efforts on the fields and in regards to the pools. Special recognition in that regard. Also, they did have elections, and Stan Gdansky was retained as chairman, and Bob Hill was elected as vice chair. And Bob Hill had also indicated that he had met with the selectmen and had gone over some need to follow protocols and things of that nature. So that was generally what went on as far as the Recreation Commission was concerned. I also had a brief meeting with the EDC, the Economic Development Commission. That was specifically at one of our picnics or one of our concerts on the green. And the meeting primarily consisted of discussion about the Fallapalooza, which takes place the entire month of October, with a number of different events throughout the different commercial areas of the town, as well as other areas of the town itself. So they're putting together a plan there, and there'll be more to follow as we go along.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Good job, everybody. We tried to do it earlier, so when it used to be at the end of the meetings, and we were all falling asleep. So that was great. Okay. We'll see if it works. I don't know. We're not asleep yet. I did attend the Board of Fire Commissioners meeting. There was continued discussion about dispatch. We had an update on the apparatus. Everything's online if you choose to read about it. The fire marshal's report, he conducted 87 inspections and 2 investigations. They're working on looking at their budget, making sure they can stay within their parameters. I have had a couple of meetings with the fire chief already, and just about trying to keep in touch and making sure everything's as it should be, and encouraging them to meet more with police and keep in touch. And I missed executive session, so I'm not really sure what they talked about. And I think that was pretty much it. That was on July 17th. And I don't know if they're meeting in August, but I'll be away. And then my first Selectmen's report, an update on the country club. We're still waiting for the draft Moorhead environmental report. It's expected next week while I'm away, and hopefully if we get it in time, we can share it. It just depends on whether we get it or not. So we'll keep you posted on that. We tried to encourage him to have it in the beginning of August, and there was no way. He said it's just a busy time of year. So that will give us a roadmap for taking better care of the property, and we can come up with a program for mowing and cleaning it up and all that good stuff. We do, as I say it again, we do require residents who wish to do volunteer work that they first receive permission from Town Hall, either seeing Jerry Shaw or Miss Adam Parsons, or talking to somebody, maybe Tony, if just letting people know if you're doing volunteer work over there, obviously not using heavy machinery. And I actually ran into Phyllis, who's in the audience, and she told me she was probably going to be doing that, I hope. And I think Muffy as well, right? Yes. Yeah, so thank you. Till we get this thing, we'll stay tuned. We'll have more on that. Obviously gardening and weeding and that kind of thing is great. I spoke with Adam Parsons, and he alerted me to a problem that we had over there with poison ivy. Apparently it was, I'm a nurse, metastasizing all over the pool area quite badly. So I gave him permission to take it down, and I'm assuming, I didn't hear back, so I'm assuming they took care of it. There is a town policy, just a reminder, policy regarding pesticide use on town-owned property, which currently contains an exemption for this parcel, but it also contains a clause that allows for limited public health emergency pesticide application for parcels covered by the policy. I didn't have to use the clause because the areas the country club is not covered, but just to be on the safe side, I did give him permission to do this. So it was apparently so severe that it was in the air. It was terrible. So he took care of that. just another update. I've had the opportunity to hear from a lot of residents, especially when I was campaigning. Also, out of 20 days of Monday through Friday being in the office, I saw 26 residents who came in and gave me their opinions and ideas and what to do with this and what to do with that. And there are many terrific ideas out there that would benefit our town. And I'm going to look at my agenda and see if it's okay to jump to the next item B, number 2B, discussion regarding a public opinion survey. And I spoke with David yesterday. I talked to Joe this morning and fill you guys in on this. I've had an idea. There are a lot of ideas out there. And I'm sure you guys have all heard from a lot of people as to what to do with the property. And we purchased it in 2009, so it's been 8 years. We did have some charrettes over the past 4 years. We've had meetings, we've had discussions. But I thought it was important, the best way to organize this is that we do a survey of all people who own property in the town. So people from residents, let's hear from the people so we can create an RFP that makes sense. And we're going to try to develop this between September and October. We may have to hire someone to do it, to help us do it. And I promise to keep this at meetings. If we have to have extra meetings, Joe saw it. Extra meetings are fine. That's what you told me today.
No problem.
All in favor. So that everything is in daylight, and I'm making sure that everybody sees what we're doing. And we'll develop a plan, bring it to you guys, we'll discuss it, and then we'll go back and refine it and just keep going until we get the survey the way we think it should be. And then we'll send it out to people who, not only voters, but we can use the grand list, so it will go out to people who own property who don't necessarily live in the town, because selling property, anything like that, does impact their taxes too. So I think we'll get more people that way. So I just wanted to kind of turn it over to you guys and have maybe a discussion tonight about how you feel about that, and if you think it's a good idea. And anybody want to start, or?
I think it's a great idea. I don't think there's any downside to
Other than
soliciting
spending some
feedback.
money, but
well,
you know,
it's going to be a little time consuming and will probably cost a little bit.
There's
to
just
get
so
this
much back
survey
and
done.
forth, and to me, it just seems like this is a good time to do it again, and we'll get a roadmap for getting the survey right
Yeah.
and doing the right thing so we can do an RFP. Obviously, we have to do something with the property. We can't let it sit anymore. So we're gonna try that and see what we come up with. And Joe, you have any thoughts on it, or okay? Okay. Just
Well,
going around the room. I'm sorry, I'm
There are
just
so
not
many
picking on
options
you.
and opinions and different things that go into it. I think it's important that we understand what as many people as possible from the town feel.
Right.
So we don't go down a particular path only to find out that there's a
And we'll have actual
strong
data,
opposition
is
to
my
it.
feeling, rather than meetings where
Exactly.
not a lot of people can attend meetings. And, so we'll do it the right way, I hope, and hopefully get something out, an RFP out in the spring, and see what comes back, and then we'll do a referendum. And, I have my own thoughts and ideas as to what we should do. But we'll see what comes back. It's up to the voters.
We think it's important we move on it. So that's,
Right, we got to do
I think
something.
it's
It's
great.
I said this last meeting, we disagree. I hate the way it looks. So, okay. Anyway, Joe,
Yeah.
David.
Well, I think what you're going to find is when you poll people that you're going to get many, many different opinions about what should be done. And I think there's no one thing that needs to be done to the property. I think there are many possibilities, but personally, I would like to see it back as a golf course, and I would like to see. I would like to see it back as an asset of the town as opposed to a liability. And when I went knocking on doors, I heard the same thing
Yeah,
from everybody. They
right.
want it back as a golf course, and they said, "I don't play golf, but I like driving up to Woodbridge. I like seeing it as a golf course. I like the way it's manicured."
I heard a lot of town use, not necessarily golf, but I'm not a golfer, so.
But I think
You're right, yeah.
I think the other thing that people say is they don't want to pay for it, and I think where we've been,
I'm sorry,
they don't want to pay for it. I mean, they don't want to have to subsidize a golf course. But as I read in our discussion yesterday, I think you have to get out of the mindset that the golf has to pay for itself. You have to find other ways to pay for it, and there certainly are many income-producing ventures from that property, so that golf could either pay for itself or even make some money. And that way, everybody who has a different opinion, people who want an over 55 community, people who want golf, people who want the clubhouse as a community center, renting office space, having a banquet hall, having a restaurant, could all be satisfied. But you can't just have one solution. You have to cobble together a number of different sources of funding to make everybody, if not happy, at least satisfied. And I predict that's what you're going to get when you do your survey.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Because that's what
Sharpen your
that's
pencil.
what we got. That's
Yep.
what we got at the charrette.
Right, yeah. But we didn't have, I don't think we had everybody, and I'm hoping we can really encourage people to drop it off, mail it back, write us a note, whatever it takes. I'd like to get more people.
We have several hundred people.
Yeah. Well, we have almost 10,000 residents, so I know some of them are kids, they're not going to write back, but
Right.
yeah, so we'll see.
But that would be for the long term. And we still have to do something in the short term.
Right.
Because it's
I agree.
yeah,
Right.
because people can't use the property.
I know. Yep.
And it costs us a lot of money.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. Joe, you have anything or?
Well, certainly I'm okay with the public opinion. I don't think there's a downside to it. Frankly, I'm not convinced of a huge upside. We tried this 4 years ago when I got on this board with Woodbridge Listens and all that, and here we are 4 years later, essentially nowhere. 4 years ago, Tony and I recommended at least a discussion, if not engagement, of land use professionals that repurpose the golf courses and so forth. And I would go back to that.
Okay.
I've sent it around in emails a few times to the old board, and I'll probably send it around again tomorrow for people to look at. But so if we want to do that, it's fine. But I think we need to do more than that.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I'm hoping that the survey will get us to that, but I don't know, maybe we can do them simultaneously, we can talk about
I
it.
hope I would hope so too. But I also, when you mentioned we'll get the survey, we'll get some data. I don't know if we'll get data, we'll get ideas. But we can consider that data. But then you mentioned an RFP. What would we go an RFP for?
Kind of depends on what we decide once we have the data.
But if we're not selling the property, we don't have the
We
need
don't have
for
to-
an RFP. So
Well, maybe,
I'm just kind of confused.
no, we do need an RFP.
Why?
It's just, we're having to see, depending on what we want to bid it out for. We'll come up with an idea from our data, what we decide we want the use for the club, and we'll send out an RFP for that use.
I would think that enough of
No, I don't. But I don't think we need to do that. See, that's. I just.
Well, if you're going to lease the club, or
Right.
you have somebody run the business there, then don't you have to put it on?
I'm not talking about a referendum. We need a referendum if we go to sell it.
So what would
I'm
the
talking about,
RFP be for?
I can't tell you at this point. It's
Well, my
depending on-
suggestion would be we get an RFP for a land use professional who's in the business of repurposing golf courses, and we go down that road.
That could be.
I'm
Okay.
going to revisit
All
that
right,
from
that
4
sounds
years
good.
ago.
Okay.
I'll send it around.
You'll send that in your survey response. No, I'm kidding. Okay, all right.
I think that's
I'm
certainly one of the options that's available, but in my opinion, there's a dramatic difference between what was happening even 4 years ago and what's happening today, simply because, as I can just speak for myself, when I pass the property, I feel significantly different about it than I did 4 years ago because of the way it looks and because of the fact that I know it's not being used at all, as you said, David. So from that perspective, I think more residents who have gone through that same type of thing where they are passing it and they're seeing something completely different would be more inclined to offer input and indicate what they're really open to or not open to than they might have even a year ago when everything was just running the way it was and you saw a nice, beautiful golf course. And even if I didn't golf, I was okay with that. I love the golf course. I use the golf course, but it's not there anymore. It's not what it is. We need to do something quickly. And depending on what everyone is open to would determine what direction we go. That's where I see possibly an RFP, whether you're going to use one to renovate the clubhouse or whatever it might need. Anything can happen. So but in terms of what you've just suggested as far as hiring somebody, I would consider that to be an option, one of the options that we would indeed consider, because that's very important.
Good.
Yay! We're gonna get this done. I'm an optimist. Okay, does anybody have anything else on that?
I just think that
Sure.
we're missing the mark if we don't seriously consider looking at part of the problem for senior housing. There's such a demand for it. I think, we're derelict in not giving the people of Woodbridge an opportunity to express their interest in some type of senior housing, in addition to recreation, et cetera, what happens. I mean, not many communities have such an amount of land that they can have options like that.
Well, don't everybody jump on me. Let me finish speaking. When Toll Brothers had talked about developing the 17 acres along Woodfield Road, and that's the end of my discussion with Toll Brothers. The property was valued, that 17 acres along Woodfield Road in 243 was valued at $2.49 million. Now, that could be a site for housing which would not disturb the golf course. That's number one.
I think you have plenty of opportunities.
And I think we could think about that. The other things I think we could think about would be having the engineer from UI come down and make a presentation about solar power for the clubhouse roof. We have 22,000 square feet of roof that faces south, and the excess solar power could be diverted to the rest of the town. And I also learned that property very well might qualify for status as an historical building, in which case we could get grant money to refurbish it. So there are a lot of different avenues to get funding that have never been brought up. I mean, everybody's always thought, well, golf doesn't pay for itself. Yeah.
I think the value of a land use professional is they would engage in a process, and they would gather these ideas, and they'd have some ideas themselves, and they'd move them from the idea portion to data, real data, not ideas, data.
Right.
And for instance, David brings up that 17 acres. They could look at that 17 acres and fairly quickly decide whether that's really worthwhile to develop, because there's a lot of rock there, there's a lot of ledge there. You don't just
There
develop.
was a lot of problems.
So
for a lot-
these are
you
all
have to
great
work with
ideas
that.
and they
have to be
sound
creative
good.
there, right.
But we need people to take these ideas and flesh them out and give us data, real numbers that we can look at. Several options. And that's why I advocate that
Great.
years ago, and I continue to advocate
Okay,
that.
well, it's on the table. Great. Okay.
Well, I mean, would it be possible to do that simultaneously with the survey?
Wouldn't it be better to?
Can we just?
Again, if we
I
send
think
excuse me.
I was just gonna say, if we get the survey back, we can give that data to the land use.
Well, the land use
Professional and
people,
say-
if we hired one, they'd do their own
They'd do
data.
their own.
They'd have their own
But do they know?
charrettes or focus groups or whatever. It's all part of their process. We did it when we redid the high school, and I mean, this is a process that professionals
Yeah.
follow. And
Okay.
so,
If you received 5,000 or 6,000 responses back, 4,000 or 5,000 of which said, we want no development, I would be inclined to listen to those 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000 people. So that would eliminate some of the options that you might have or not have. So just simply sending out information to see what the residents feel, and if they have little or no opinion, or all you get is a bunch of ideas, you're still in a position to proceed with exactly what you're saying. And offering the fact that, hey, the town is kind of in between, betwixt and between in terms of different options, so.
Mika, I'm fine with that. I mean, 4 years for it, I can wait
Yeah.
2 more weeks.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or I
Joe.
could
That's
wait
exactly what
forever.
I'm
It may
thinking.
never even happen, but
No, no.
I would also suggest that if we
No
get
negative.
6,000 responses, man, I'll tell
Wouldn't that be
you.
Yeah, it would be amazing. That would be
Yeah.
I don't know
amazing.
what cloud you're on, but
You made me see me driving around picking them up. I'm gonna offer to do that if I have to, so. Okay, all right, great. I do have a thing on item C. I just want to remind everyone and the public that Tom Hennick, thank you, from Freedom of Information is doing another presentation for the TV audience as well. All boards and commissions and any residents are invited to attend if they choose. It's on September 12th, I think in this room at 6 o'clock. And if you haven't done it, It's great and very useful. I think it will be taped for those that can't make it, but Paul always does and runs it every once in a while. And there's always new and interesting questions that come up every single time, so please make every effort to try to get here.
I would suggest that you do a motion on doing the survey and,
Okay,
as
thank
the
you.
board approves it.
So how
That's
would
what
we
I-
word that?
Say, is there, somebody can make a motion that we engage a professional to prepare a survey we spent to town residents regarding the potential uses of the country club.
I don't know,
Would it be
making that
okay to-
survey, do we have any idea of cost involved in it or anything?
The other thing is that the question would be, we would bring the questions in the survey that we got done to the Board of Selectmen
Right.
before it went out
Right.
to the residents, and we may have to go through 2 or 3 iterations before it goes, because I want everybody to have involvement on this. So, I don't know the cost.
So we're really just making a motion to do the
How about to
preparatory-
investigate?
Right.
Investigate,
How about
evaluate.
investigate
Right, that's okay.
the possibility of doing a survey? I'll get the cost back to you the next meeting. I might even have it for August 30th, right? Because we are having allegedly an August 30th meeting, when we get the report back from Mr. Moorhead. So, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? It's
Did you get the motion?
Thank you. That's a good idea.
I don't know if it
Thank
was
you,
too
Jerry.
clear, but should I make up
It's
some
not 6
motion?
o'clock, so we'll skip public comments until 6. Sorry, Tassos. Okay. Administrative Officer, Director of Finance report. Tony?
There's just some tax refunds.
Mm-hmm.
Want to go through those?
Sure. We was just, they're at your table, I guess. Tax refunds for the month of August 2017. Sorry.
There are 2 sets. One is in your packet that was delivered. The second set was
Of course it
at the
was.
table this evening.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you. So- Okay, my apologies for delaying. There were no real estate refunds. The motor vehicle refunds are a total of $11,287.61. Total refunds are $11,287.01, and this that just came to us is...
Yeah, this is a,
Didn't have a chance to look at it, I
This
apologize.
is a real estate refund.
So there weren't any in the
Yeah.
first,
There was an
okay.
amount paid in error to the wrong account, so we
Got
had to
it.
refund the
Okay.
difference. Right.
So we paid $7,733, and they're getting a refund of $3,209.23
$23, right.
to be refunded to this person.
Correct.
Okay. So can I do these both together?
Sure.
Sure. So I'd like a motion, I would entertain a motion to approve the tax collector's report and subsequent refunds as of August 10th, 2017 in her report.
So moved.
Second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you.
Joe moved it, second.
David, right, David? Yep. Okay, great.
Yep, I just have another.
Okay.
Well, the only other is that while we still don't have any word from the state of Connecticut on our grant or our funding for this year, the towns are being surveyed for their fund balance levels, and the implication or the information that we have is that those towns are that report higher fund balances may have more of ability to pay than others with lower fund balances.
Meaning us.
Sort of,
Isn't
So-
that unbelievable?
it's sort of a
I got that letter, I was like,
it's no
I can't
reward
handle
for-
this. A reward for having.
no reward for, having
Good behavior.
a tight fiscal control over what you do. So we'll see.
Okay, so should we comment on that?
No, that's why to let you know that that's sort of the direction.
You have any comments on
It's the
that?
direction it's taken.
Oh,
So you're saying we should spend more money than we do?
yeah,
No, the state should spend less. How
yes,
about that?
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the only
That's
other?
it,
Okay,
yeah.
great. Special projects, Sheila McCrevin. And by the way, Betsy's doing well at home and
good.
posted on all of that. She's doing well. I just talked to her today. She's ready to have babies. Very ready.
She's been ready, huh?
Very ready. So we wish her well.
That's great. In your packet, you'll see the Best Organic Maintenance and Management Practices Committee, along with Coupon, had made some recommendations specific to the Fitzgerald track, and one of those was to place a sign beyond the main parking lot. So you see a copy of what we've kind of mocked up, and you'll also see some photographs of where it would be located. So there's currently a 5-mile-per-hour sign leaving the main parking area. You'll see right by where the rink, whose little ice skating rink is. And by putting a sign on this pole advising people that the general public is not allowed past that point, only community garden permit holders and Parks Department vehicles. So that was the recommendation to the Board of Selectmen from both those groups. And subsequent to that, we were reminded that the wayfinding sign committee report had specified a style. And although the Fitzgerald track is not part of the 2 zones that the wayfinding wanted to go in order, start putting up signs, we had heard from them that if we were replacing signs, if we could follow the style, they would appreciate it, and it would go a little ways towards making that style more known in town. So that's what you see in your packet. These are the 2 color tile samples, if you wanted to see them. This was what was recommended for wayfinding.
If you recall, there was no funding for the
No funding.
wayfinding project. We used up, I think it was the sidewalk,
Correct. It was partially sidewalks,
right.
in essence, for wayfinding.
but we got a lovely report with
Right.
a lovely recommendations for
Right.
these beautiful signs. And Adam had this idea, well, maybe every single time a sign goes down, why don't we replace it and do it ourselves rather than spending, because some of the signs, one alone is $25,000, I think, for this. So we thought, why don't we just do it? So Sheila came up with this design, and
Right.
Adam, I think you were going to talk with him. I don't know if you
Yes,
did.
so what we did was take what the wayfinding committee called landmark and trailhead signs, and it's sort of the size that we're talking about. So we took that design, we took the fonts, the colors, matching almost exactly what they have, and we're hoping to be able to do this at a similar cost that any other sign would be done. So it's kind of a bonus that we get to follow the guide. But the thinking is that that sign will help members of the community just know what the rules are. Right now, it's not posted. So
We're not violating any copyright laws by copying those signs?
no, they gave it to us as a style guide, and so we're letting it guide our style.
Okay.
That was the intention.
And I think we had approved the 5 mile an hour at one of our
Yes, at
previous
previous meetings.
selectmen meetings. However, we forgot to approve the second part of the sentence, which was no vehicles. So that's why I brought it to you guys tonight to ask for your approval for this part, the second part of the recommendation. So,
Yeah, I was actually on the QPOP when we recommended this.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing. I don't know if you wanted to add it here, if there was another separate sign, but we talked about problems with idling cars. There were a number of people that had complaints that came to the town. I think a few came to the Board of Selectmen for public comments about cars parking there for extended periods of time and just idling, and the exhaust that was coming off. That was supposed to go on a sign, but
Is
I'm not
that
sure.
parking by the community garden?
It's parking in the front parking lot,
Okay.
the gravel area.
Because part of what we thought about the community garden, people get a document each year, and if there were specific instructions of where it's best to park or to please not idle, that could go in that document to the
It was
community
my
garden.
understanding it was not the gardeners.
So you're thinking the regular parking. I don't know.
well, we could revisit it if you'd like.
Could be a separate sign.
Yeah, right. If you want us to look at that again, we can talk to Adam and see what he thinks about that. And having it not on the agenda, I don't want to approve another sign and without
Maybe.
checking.
When I go to the next QPOP meeting,
Yeah,
I'll see if
okay.
that's still something that they
Yeah.
want to
Okay.
explore.
Yeah, they could.
Alrighty.
Just for clarification purposes, in terms of where the sign is, where you're not supposed to go if you're not a gardener, does that mean, if I'm thinking of the property itself, so we've got a kind of figure eight into the main, where it used to be the cornfields?
Right.
Is that, so the public who uses it for walking, that would be the area that they would be limited to, if you will? Or
Yeah.
available, that's the area
That
that would be
first
available.
parking lot.
And
That's
everything to
it.
the back would be gardeners only?
Right.
And Parks Department.
In Parks Department, right.
Yeah.
Right where that first 5 mile an hour sign is when you walk in right after where you park your car. It's right there. I saw it on Sunday. I went to Dr.
Thank you.
Prasad's event. It was lovely.
I was there on Saturday.
Yeah, so, Okay, so any other discussion on that? Is there a motion to approve the no vehicles allowed beyond this point sign as listed and demonstrated by Sheila in our packet?
Make a motion. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Joe, you did on okay?
Oh, yeah.
I missed it, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Okay.
I was up and
Okay,
down.
thank you, it's unanimous. Thank you so much. Town council's report.
So the only thing I have is an executive session. I don't know whether you want to do it now or...
We have till 6, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
well,
public
might as well
comments.
now.
We'll do it now.
Done, yeah.
We're gonna do a very quick executive session, if that's okay. So we have to ask everyone to leave. I'll make a motion that we go into executive session, and I need a second.
Second.
And I would like to invite into executive session Tony and Jerry Weiner, and that's it. And oh, of course, the board of selectmen.
So we should.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Joe
Right,
seconded.
for a section pursuant to section 1-200, parens 6E, n parens, 1-210, parens B, n parens 4, n parens. Discussion regarding tax appeal litigation for property located at 225 Amity Road. Thanks, Joe. Glad you're a lawyer. Yours on, David?
Come on.
Everybody on?
Yes.
Okay. Who are ready? Okay. Thank you. We're out of executive session, and there were no motions made nor votes taken during the executive session, and it's now 5:57. So we'll go to item 7, which is the town clerk's report, and I would like a motion to approve the town clerk's report in our packet dated July 1st, 2017 through July 31st, 2017. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Anybody okay? Good. Joe?
Excuse me, who moved that?
Good.
Terry moved it. David seconded.
David seconded. Yeah, okay, thank you. And we'll take one last minute here, and in item 8, I'm sorry, the minutes. Hopefully you all had a moment to review them, or more than a moment, because it's 9 pages. And I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of July 17th, 2017.
That's the wrong date, it's July 14th, 12th. July
I would have
12th.
never known. Okay.
It's correct in the body of the minutes.
Okay,
but-
great. I didn't even see that. Okay. Amend the motion. Approve the minutes of July 12th, 2017. I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone have any adjustments, changes, corrections? Okay, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We're done. And it's just now 6 o'clock, so we'll have public comments. Tassos, come on up. You waited a whole hour. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tassos Kyriakidis, president of the Massaro Community Farm Board, and I'm glad to be back to give my regular update on the farm, what we're doing. And let me start off by the public announcement on the dinner on the farm. For those of you who are not aware, September 3rd, Sunday, it's our 7th annual dinner on the farm. This year we're trying something different on the auction items that we have. An online auction website that started actually today for the exotic items we have. We have a couple of stays in some nice resorts overseas. And then at the dinner itself we have the silent auction. A couple of things on what's happening on the farm. We fenced in and irrigated some additional acreage, and also did some rock removal just to give us some more acreage for rotation purposes. If you drive by, you'll see we added another high tunnel. We had one that was damaged last winter. We fixed that. We got a grant, and we added a 6th one now. That will give us maybe an extension to our growing season for our customers. officially now we have added 2 year-round members of our staff, the education director and somebody helping in the operations to help us as we expand in our activities, both education-wise and with the community. This has been our 4th year of hosting the AmeriCorps service at the farm, and that helps increase nutrition education with schools in the area. And we've worked with Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCA, United Way, and Griffin Hospital. This week and next week, the farm is running its annual summer camp in partnership with the rec department, and it's been a great success already. I went there yesterday. Kids are having a blast, so it's a great event. So a lot of things happening. Again, Dinner on the Farm is our main event coming up. I encourage you to attend. Great food. The chef from Zinc down in New Haven has been offering her time and staff to the farm as a fundraiser for us. And last but not least, I'd like to recognize the board and the town for viewing us as a partner in trying to engage with the community and provide healthy food and education around that and the community at large. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Farmer Steve?
Oh yes, they just had a baby.
I didn't want to break it. I want you to break it.
Almost 1 month old now,
Yeah.
Baby girl. And I've seen her walking around. She's getting her first in the little pouch.
She's not walking.
Yeah.
She's not walking.
Yes, no, not walking. Walking around in
Yeah.
a pouch. Getting first flavor of the farm. So,
Yeah, it's wonderful.
so Steve
Thank
is
you.
very tired
Yeah.
these days.
Thank you so
And his
much.
wife. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming in.
Lois Janelle, 30 Richard Street Drive, and once again, I'm just here to ask you to please mow. It is, I would love to have some of the ideas that you've talked about happen there. I can't say that many of them are new, Beth. I could go back over the last few years. If you looked at the notes from the Golf Commission, you would see that many of them were suggested, and whatever. That's in the past. But fall is coming, as I told you before, and absolutely walking that golf course in the fall, when you walk up the second hole, the trees behind, the colors are magnificent. The same with the 5th hole. Some of the trees are so beautiful. And to not be able, for the townspeople to not be able to at least use the property to walk, and they can't walk it now. There have been so many articles about ticks, and even the bugs this year are horrible. Can't walk in the neighborhood, Joe. The bugs are really bad. So I just urge you, I know that it's costly, I understand that, but we spend a lot of money in this town on many other projects. And I just think that until there is a definite plan for this property, to have not mowed it, really, it's just not right. And the grass isn't going to disappear. I have a son-in-law who once said about snow, God brought it, God will take it away. That's not going to happen with this grass. And we have to be able to at least walk and enjoy it. And you can't now. You just can't. I don't believe it's safe. I believe it is unsafe. Because I know there's poison ivy there also. I found a lot of it. So I know it's there. That's all I have. I told
Thank
you
you.
until this is done, you'll see me
It's okay.
every meeting I can make. Thank you.
Message heard. Thank you.
Okay.
Cheryl Lipson, Brookwood Drive. This is the first meeting I've been to since Beth has taken over. Lots of luck. Welcome.
Thank you.
Muffy could not be here this evening, and I gave something to Jerry. She asked me to come and read this. For those people who don't know Muffy, she's lived here her entire life. She loves Woodbridge. She loves everything about the community, and she lives right across the street from the golf course. So she has seen the golf course evolve and now deteriorate. So this is Muffy's letter. I would like to share a few of my observations on the present state of the Country Club of Woodbridge property. The current open space designation has brought to a halt decades of careful maintenance, With fears of ticks, snakes, poison ivy, walkers have become the endangered species. The cart paths are eroded and broken, which further endanger walkers. CCW perimeter bordering Johnson and Ansonia roads has allowed to grow over to such an extent that walkers must walk in the street or cross to the other side. In addition, people have begun dumping their yard debris on the overgrown edges of the property. I can attest to that. I walk up Johnson, and not only is debris being thrown out there, but there's garbage, whether it's contractors dumping stuff because everything is so overgrown, I don't know, but I saw it yesterday, and it's deplorable. Back to Muffy. I would also like to comment on reported new sightings of birds and butterflies on the CCW. They are only a fraction of the richness of wildlife inhabiting that land, but they are not newcomers. I have walked the golf course for nearly 60 years and can attest to the butterflies, hawks, herons, geese, deer, fox, coyotes, skunk, rabbits, chipmunks, and more, who have coexisted there with golfers on a manicured property. A well-maintained golf course is by no means a wildlife dead zone. It is unrealistic to expect our town crew to solve all these problems and maintain this huge property. I believe this job is best left to an experienced golf management company. They can return this exceptional property to its former high level of maintenance. In the interest of resident safety, I recommend the following steps. Mow wider strips along the cart paths to facilitate walker safety. Mow a walking strip on the verge of the property. Repair and repave both Woodfield Road and the cart paths for safety's sake, and seek out a golf management company to restore and maintain the previous manicured state of the property. Martha German, August 9th. This is Cheryl Lipson now speaking. In listening to what was just shared about sending something out to the townspeople, I don't remember how long ago it was. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, I have no short-term memory anymore, so it had to be not that long ago. But I don't think there was a big turnout, a response, in terms of people answering a questionnaire that was sent out. And some people will say, no, I don't care about it, or they forget about it, or they say it's not in my backyard, so it doesn't impact me. I'm wondering if the money to create a brochure or a questionnaire could be spent more wisely, like in getting what Joe Dye is suggesting. There has always been an active minority in town and an inactive majority, and I think you're going to find the exact same thing happening if you do that. The one thing I would like to share, and I know David had mentioned something about golf, and I know Phyllis is into it. On CBS Radio about 3 weeks ago, they had somebody talking, I guess it was just after the latest golf tournament, and what's his name, Gordon Spieth?
Yeah,
Okay, Jordan, thank you so much. I don't know. He had just won, and the comment was that golf is on an upswing now because you have younger people that are interested in it, because this young guy, I think is 24 years old, had won it. So there may not be a huge amount of golfers, but you are going to have people who are interested in playing the sport more, and they're looking to play more upscale courses. Now, I'm not going to say what that brings to my mind, but I just thought I'd throw it out there in terms of there was somebody who was looking to do a more upscale course, and I think he got frightened away. I don't know. But I think in hearing what Joe had to say, I think that's something that should be seriously considered as the Board of Selectmen goes forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Bob.
Hi. Bob Hill, Acorn Hill Road. This is my first meeting since the new board is met. I welcome you, Terry. I enjoyed working with you when you were doing the playground. Joe, was going to take your place, bring all the citations to the Eagle Scouts. I always enjoyed that. Mika, I'm glad that you're our liaison. I know we'll work well together. Beth, we had our first meeting already. Okay, so that was good. David, I've known you for a long time, and I think that your research and ability to kind of know everything about nothing or nothing about everything, and we'll follow well here, okay?
That's a nice compliment.
Yeah.
What?
So, anyway, that's backhanded. No, Dave, you'll do a great job. And Joe, I'm glad that you're back, and I happen to agree. I think you did this charrettes, and I think you did collect some information there in terms of what people wanted from the property, and then went a number of different ways. I think, Joe, your idea in terms of the land use and then coming back and then running that past the residents is probably a good suggestion there. And then, Dave, if we're going to go with a golf company, it's got to be a long-term thing. This couple-year thing isn't going to work. No one's going to make the investment if that's the way where you're going with that kind of situation. So, anyway, I'm going to take the Bob Hill hat off, resident, and put on the Bob Hill vice chairman of the Recreation Commission. So, I had submitted a request to Tony back on July 7th for financial information from the country club for the pool, so that we could better manage what we're doing. So hopefully we at least break even this year. So hopefully it'll be a going forward. We got a very late start, I think, as everyone knows, and I think we're approved about a few weeks before we were supposed to open. We were able to get the pool director at the last minute, and basically have been moving through and working through a myriad of things. So to that end, I had made a request on July 7th to basically do what I'll refer to as a variance report, and basically compare expenses that we had to where the budget was and figure out how we are going to track from an income and expense standpoint. And so I'm not going to read the whole email I sent to Tony, but basically that's what the gist of that email was. And then Tony had emailed me back a couple days later on Monday and said, I'll look into it for you and get back to you. And then I had a meeting on the 19th with Beth and Sheila advised me in that meeting that request should come from the chairman or the commission. So I do have a letter here today from Stan Gdansky, the chairman. He wasn't able to make it here tonight, but there's a letter here and I'll read it for the record, and I'll give you along with the email. Dear Mr. Genovese, please provide Bob Hill, Vice Chairman of the Rec Commission, the information he requested in his July 7th, 2017 email attached. Bob knows the pool better than any of the commissioners through his involvement since we took over 4 years ago. I rely and trust his ability to measure our performance and to provide consulting to LaDonna Reynolds, our pool director, and John Adamovich, our director of recreation. Please work with Bob in an ongoing process to provide a needed data for us to best manage the financial health of the pool operation. Sincerely, Stan Gdansky, Woodbridge Recreation Commission Chairman. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, motion, anybody have anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Somebody. All in favor? Thank you.